and pretend. It's one thing. I'm always going to be kind. I'm always going
very
to
graceful.
say hello. I'm not going to walk in a room and not speak. But I can't pretend to be buddy-buddy with you if that's not where I am. That's just me. So I need a moment to just kind of step back. And I get that it's a game. But the way everything happened...
Is that yours?
No, it's not. I don't know. But the way everything happened, it shouldn't have happened that way.
Right.
Is the bottom line. Because if there was something that they felt... Because, I mean, I don't have anything to hide at this point. I'll put all the cards on the table because it's not behooving me to hide anything. Basically what happened, the girls definitely had an alliance. Well, supposedly, I don't know if we really did or we didn't. Mm-hmm. And we had decided to work together and to, you know, just be the first girl alliance that didn't implode. And that actually, like, supported one another and really took this to the end.
That's awesome.
So,
especially today's climate, that's
exactly,
awesome.
And that's where I was coming from with it. Mm-hmm. And, of course, my desire for this whole thing was not to make it personal, in terms of to be very upfront, to be, you know, and what I realize now is that I get it, it's Big Brother. That's not what this is. That's not the game. So, yes, it was to take out the boys, but not in a... bottom line was to take out the boys, and it just didn't happen that way. Mm-hmm. So, you know, something was said, they went back, that I tried to cut a deal with Chuck, and that's not what happened. Being HOH, I am unable to compete, and the plan was to get James out, but of course that didn't happen. They flipped the entire vote. So...
You feel betrayed?
Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely. The plan was to get James out, and in keeping with my alliance, I, put up the people who we had, as an alliance, agreed on when it came down to the bag situation. So I just kind of feel like, you know, I did the dirty work, and then they bailed, right. Is what it feels like.
I hear you.
And then, so they felt that I had a deal with Chuck, which doesn't even make sense for me to make a deal with Chuck. The only thing I'd ask of him is, if I'm HOH, can you please not put me up? You know, I've been completely upfront with you and honest, and I would appreciate if you would do that. But I didn't offer him anything in exchange. I didn't give him any information about our alliance. I didn't do any of that. And I met her the same thing. I said, listen, I'm going to be HOH this week. I can't compete. Because it's one thing if you can compete and defend yourself.
Of course. You can't.
And you can't. And there was nothing that I said or did, or no conversation that I said or had with anyone that other people weren't having to. Mm-hmm. And there were a lot of people cutting deals and a lot of people doing a lot of things. And in no way did I ever put the alliance before me and talking to anybody. So it got back, and so we had a whole meeting before the vote, and pretty much Brandy and Omarosa got into it they asked Omarosa if she had talked to Chuck and was like, you know, are you cutting us, you know, like a whole thing. They put it on Omarosa. At no point during this conversation did anyone ask me anything. At one point, I even tried to diffuse it between her and Brandy. And then I was moving out of the HOH suite because you helped me bring some of the stuff. Mm-hmm. So I was going back and forth, moving my stuff. So, of course, they viewed that as me, like, instead of just asking me, my thing is this. Yeah. And then, but I came back at the end of the conversation and said, listen, we have a bigger thing to accomplish. Like, if there's an issue with somebody, ask them the issue. Right. Like, okay, yes, we're having this in an open forum, but, you know, like Ross and Omarosa had an issue. They talked through their issue. And so my thing is, if there was something that they felt that I did, they could have easily asked me just how they confronted anybody else. But instead of asking me or confronting me with what was going on, they flipped the whole vote.
When did they confront you?
And that's the thing. They felt like that by having that conversation, that but I didn't feel that I had done anything wrong in terms of the in passing conversation that I had with Chuck to have to defend myself.
Right.
So, and I mean, that's fine. Everyone's entitled to their perspective of what have you. So I was trying my best to stay out of it because they kept trying to also make it so that, oh, you and Omarosa are together, you and Omarosa together. And that's not like, yes, by virtue of, we've never met one another before.
Yeah.
This was the first time.
Sure.
Did we gravitate to one another? Yes. But I also wasn't trying to jump into that conversation because that would have continued to grow that whole thing of you and Omarosa are together.
Well, there was an understanding, I heard.
So
It trickled to me that
definitely-
Omarosa would never vote
And
ever.
yes.
And that was trickled out of the guys
Right.
even.
And that was nothing that was hidden.
Okay.
So it was nothing that was hidden that, you know, just from the standpoint of being two African-American women in a house, I was like, I don't want to fight you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to fight any of the women in this house.
I don't fight anybody. Like,
But, you know, and even then, I don't want to, like, even with Chuck and with, I don't want to fight any of you guys. And, you know, but specifically with that, you know, it was just more of a thing where we don't want to be those girls. Because you always see,
Of course.
you know, we don't want that to be the case here. And even with the girls, you know, my proposal for even that alliance, it was the girls and Ross was a part of it. And my proposal for it was, you know, that once we get down to those numbers, because it is about empowering each other, let's do this above board. Let's not backdoor each other. Let's take it with the last two people or the first two people out of the people we put up and keep it real clean. But that didn't happen.
No.
So
unfortunately, this game manifests that. You know,
and I get it.
unfortunately.
And I get it. So I understand that it was my bad. But at this point, I don't have anything to conceal.
Right.
So, and I've said that from the beginning that I'm going to be authentically, genuinely, and transparently who I am.
Oh, that's who you are.
Because this isn't worth the career that I've built.
I agree.
Nor is it worth $250,000.
I concur
it's
completely.
priceless. So to be completely transparent, that I also, you know, kind of felt like, because a few times, you know, I knew that you'd offered yourself up as a pawn for the first thing.
Because we weren't gelling.
Right.
It was never a guy alliance.
Sorry. So you'd offered yourself up as a pawn. Shannon told us that. And then Shannon came back and said, you know, that no, you were now going to vote for James, to keep James. That's when I had the conversation with you about, you know, where you stood. And, you know, originally part of our plan also was, you know, because we felt that you'd kind of flip-flop. First, you were kind of going to, the way it was presented, I'm just going to be honest, the way it was presented to us, that you were first kind of willing to work with us, and then you decided to work against us because James was our target.
You know,
So,
that's putting words in my mouth.
Okay,
you know what I mean?
I mean, I'm
I hear you. But this is the problem.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Right. And
Is that it's not always delivered by the origin.
I get
Usually
it.
it's like a telephone game.
I get it.
I've heard I'm over here. I've heard I'm not here. I heard I'm at home. You know,
then-
it's just crazy.
And then even
So
when
misinformation is
and
all
then-
part of this game.
I know that. And then even when we had the whole conversation upstairs in the room with everyone, I was like, well, we can get everyone in a room together later and we can have this conversation. Because then when you have everyone in a room, there is no, well, that's not what it's, we got to deal with it right now.
Sure.
So, and of course that didn't happen, nor did anyone approach me about directly say, hey, this is what we heard. Is this true? Yes or no? So none of that happened. They decided
But
to come
you and I talked, and you asked me, you know, who I thought, and I really didn't know, but I said I'm kind of seeing what you're seeing. So I never really committed to anything, but I probably alluded to it. And I still would, but I never said affirmatively, you know, yes, it's James.
Well-
I go, they're both strong. They go, but it's
Well,
early.
Shannon said it was that she said James.
Yeah, okay.
So
I mean-
and it's either and I'm just being transparent because I like you can ask me whatever. I don't have anything to hide because it doesn't behoove
I
me
agree.
to. So then, like with that, and then after, you know, there was an idea. Then it originated from me. I said, well, why don't we put? We always knew James was our target. Why don't we put Mark instead of Chuck?
Mm-hmm.
And then Shannon was vehemently against that, and I was a little concerned because to me it seemed like you all may have had something or some sort of agreement.
But see, they were saying you about Chuck too.
Right, and I see that.
Okay, so
I get
like
that.
it goes both ways.
And it does go
You know,
both
it's like
ways.
you were really adamant about getting Chuck out of there. You know,
And it does go
the only
both ways.
person Chuck talked in his house was you. So there were breadcrumbs everywhere of every idea.
Oh,
now, if there's
absolutely.
breadcrumbs, people are going to blow up the idea, no matter if it goes
Absolutely.
left or right.
But the thing was, and I see that, and that's why I'm like, I get it, it's a game, and I get that, you know, in the midst of this game, you know, I'm a casualty of war.
Right. So
and
like,
it's okay.
even if you don't say something, you said it. Do you know what I'm saying? Because it just gets trickled through the whatever machinery this goes through in this crazy game, and goes to people's brains, and they
No, I
take
get
it
it.
as gospel.
I get it.
And so you don't have to do anything. I mean, people thought we were alliance. We didn't have a name. We didn't even, you know, it's funny. I mean, it just perpetuates this paranoia. So everybody's a casualty, and eventually will be. You know, James was going home 36 hours ago. Now he's like peacocking around. You know what I'm saying? It's just, it's a crazy game. It would bother me if you like are choosing not to play, or if you don't want to play. I mean, I'm an open harbor. I always am. I've committed to nobody. I'm kind of floating. I'm doing my thing. I'm not very, I'm not very strong. I'm oldest motherfucker. But so I really like you a lot, and I think you're an amazing human being. I just hope you just want to stay. I hope you want to dig in and just grind it out. There's tons of opportunities here.
No, I get
Nothing's
that.
as it seems ever.
No, I get that wholeheartedly. Oh, there's absolutely one winner. I needed a moment to me.
Without a doubt. And I want to give you a moment. I didn't want to bother you, and I felt bad when I asked you to give me a moment. I don't want to see you in this house and not be able to talk to you and say hello, Keisha. The chicken looks great, Keisha. You know what I'm saying?
Well, just know that'll never be the case. It'll never be the case.
It hasn't been. You asked me for breakfast. You're very sweet, very kind, and I really appreciate that. But like I said, I'm open. I'm an open dude.
Yeah.
And this is bigger than the game.
Yeah.
And like we said, I want to be friends when you get out of here. I want to be friends.
Right.
We're in here, so I just wanted to just check your pulse, see how you're feeling, and I hear you. I hear you.
Yeah. So it's like, I'm not, one thing I'm not is a quitter.
Good.
And I get it's a game and someone's going to have to go home, and that's fine. I just am also at this moment, given all the givens and the opportunities, and then just thinking back, I just wasn't in a space where I wanted to play hair and makeup and play friendly when all these people who said they were, you know what I mean? And I get that it's the game. Like, don't think I don't get it's the game.
I know you do. I know you do.
I get it's the game.
I know you do. But you feel super betrayed, and I understand. But I'm caught in that whirlwind when we've never been an alliance. We've spoken the least in this house, you know. So I'm just trying to to say I'm open.
Got it.
Anything can happen in this game,
Got
Keisha.
it.
You're a very smart, determined, strong individual.
Got it.
You know what I'm saying? And don't ever lose sight of that, because I don't, and I see it.
Yeah.